Open your corporate doors. We have to open our corporate doors. Just last week, I prepared and had a conversation with my audience talking about how we can change the landscape of the violence across the country, regardless of what state you're in, New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago. It doesn't matter. North Carolina, South Carolina, it doesn't matter. If you open your corporate doors and allow these young minds to infiltrate your business model by mentoring them, teaching them, giving them some hope and some faith that they can be a part of society and not have to rob, steal all day long. We can give them that hope. We can initiate that hope by allowing them to infiltrate your business. Microsoft, for one example. Microsoft hires thousands of coders, designers. They could allow these young people selling drugs, that sold drugs, to come in and to be mentored by some of the brightest minds at Microsoft. They can come in and learn new things, at the same time develop new things. Now I know Microsoft has some programs, but do you actually have a program that allows a kid to come off from the street with no experience to teach him, to guide him? Back in 2007, Youth Development teamed up with Sarah Blakely of Spanx. We had 4 students, they were elementary students, that wanted to be designers. Sarah Blakely and her staff allowed these 4 kids to come in, supervised now, during the week, to learn about how it is to be an entrepreneur and how you can get into the business of design. These young kids spent 4 to 5 weeks going back and forth. And Sarah Blakely, the Spanx organization, opened their arms to these young girls. Now that was in 2007. These young girls have graduated from college. 2 of them are in the fashion world, and the other 2 are working hard. I'm pretty sure they have some business opportunities, entrepreneurship in their future. But if you want to really stop the violence, this is the only way. You have to provide these young kids an opportunity. You know, every kid is not destined to go to college. 2, 4, every kid is not. But these young kids that are crying out for hope and faith can learn. They can learn the parts of the computer. They know a lot about the computer already. And Microsoft is just one company. You know, Georgia Pacific in Georgia, they can do the same thing. Allow these young kids to come into their establishment and learn, be a part of the process. Show them how to speak and how to talk and what to do. And most of all, show them respect. And in turn, they will show you and love you, provide you with all the respect. These are just some ways that I think, actually, I know that we can curb the violence in this country. You know, kids are stealing cars. Ford Motor Company, Jaguar. Allow these kids to come in and see what it's like to be up under the hood of a car instead of stealing it. And pay them a living wage, $15 as they mentor for that year. And then offer them an opportunity to work for you. We have to change the way we do business, the way we think about how we are going to structure and provide some type of structure for our young people. You have many of them that can do the work if they had the proper mentor. Years ago, many moons ago, when I was going to school, you had architect, you had craftsmen, you had um, um, all kinds of entrepreneur opportunities in the school system. School went away from it. Some schools do still have some of these programs, but very few. We can stop this violence. We can curb this violence. But the city, the state, they need to have more programs that directly impact the kids. Not something that, you go in, you talk with the kids, you come out, the BS. A lot of kids want that. They want to belong to something. Why do you think these kids are in a gang? Because they feel like they belong to something. There's so many types of gangs that we have in this country. The police department, they are a gang. FBI, they're a gang. The Boy Scouts, they're a gang. Then you got other gangs. I guess the Crips, the Bloods. I mean, there's so many different, whatever name they want to put on it. But there's no end in that. And yes, we've been doing it wrong for so long. Corporations continue to think that they are doing the job of challenging these young people. NAACP, the Urban League, these programs need to be impacted. They need to go and lobby for these programs to be impacted in these corporations. If you live by an airport, young kids need to get up under get inside of a plane. Some kids never been in a plane in their life. Sit in the chair. Understand what it is to be a pilot, an airline stewardess, airline agent. You know, we have to give these kids more hope and more promise than we've been giving them. We have to do this, or the violence is going to get worse. These young kids matter. Every single one of them. Every bad ass one of them. They matter. And we had to start understanding and giving them an opportunity because they do matter. There are so many opportunities that I can think of with corporations like Wells Fargo, Regions Bank, Bank of America. You have to start opening up your pockets to these communities and stop giving the money to the same old organization to get the same old results. I know youth development, every dime we get, we make sure these kids get that dime, get that 9 cents. We make sure that if with the school supplies, whether it's books, whether it's mentorship, whether you need a job, we connect the dots. And a lot of times, our bank account is almost zero. Many times. But we all have to take a stand. We all have to do this. Because I'm telling you, the violence will not stop. Certain areas in Georgia and Washington, D.C., and Chicago, they are seeing spikes in crime in certain areas that normally you wouldn't see crime. But they're going where the money is at. You know, you never hear about a robbery in the ghetto. You always hear about a robbery at the mall. Where's jewelry, clothing? You never hear about a robbery at Walmart because they're not interested in what Walmart has. Now you get a lot of people that are that desperate, and they go in and they snatch and grab. But we can prevent that. Walmart has come up with something great. They are paying their employees full scholarship to go to college. That's great. That's great. You know, some have offered, some companies like Starbucks has offered it $15 an hour. That's great. Starbucks paying college tuition. That's great. You see the commercials with McDonald's. They're paying college tuition. That's great. Whether you go 2 or 4 years. But you learn. You have the opportunity to learn. And then you have people to mentor you and to talk with you and to say, it's all right to have a bad day. We all have bad days. But the violence will stop. You will not see the violence the way we see it now because these kids will be busy, too busy making money, too busy being loved, too busy being with these corporate employees. I think we can do this. I think we can curb the violence in 20 to 2022 almost 60%. I know because over the 30 years, youth development kids, there never been any of our kids went to jail, teen pregnancy. All of them had 2 and 4 year degrees because we love on them. We let them know that if you need us, give us a call. If something that you having issues with, let's talk about it. So we got to do this together. You know, this is an impromptu live video. We have to do this together. It's heavy on my heart because I keep on hearing about these kids shooting and driving cars, 13 and 14, and crashing cars. And I keep on hearing it. Quite frankly, I'm tired. We have to really reach out and touch these kids. Corporations can do it because they got the operation budget. They got the means to do it. It will not cost them a dime. And they probably get some government incentives, some tax write-offs. That's what they do. But it can happen. We just got to do it. Microsoft, I wrote Brad Smith, President and Chief Officer of Microsoft, about a project that I think that we can do in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you get this, listen to this, Brad, read the letter that I wrote to you on July 15th, 2021. And let's talk about it. Because this can bring 200 kids off the street. 200. And we can do 400. The kids that live in underserved and disenfranchised areas. This project works. It just needs operational capital. It works. Because the professionals that I know are ready to go. I know that Chuck Barlow Jr. and Chuck Barlow Sr. understands this because they've been fighting it as well, trying to keep our young men and young girls from a life of crime. Mikhail Davis, Black Man's Lab, same thing. We have to really get these corporations on board. If you're looking, like I said in my last live conversation, municipalities need to do more. You need to do more than police an area. You need to do more. You need to give the police departments an operational budget that can do more outreach, because they have the Boys and Girls Club. But they need more outreach, more funding. That funding can come from Regions Bank, Bank of America, Microsoft, Dell, you name it, Facebook. In each municipality, with the police working with them, can do the same thing. We can't throw our kids away because they're not going nowhere. Sometimes you look up, you can be shopping in Rodeo Drive, and all of a sudden you see a couple of ski masks and they are trying to rob and take everything you have. You can be in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., shopping and trying to buy your parents something or yourself something, and gun, 13-year-old have a gun pointed right in your back. They want everything you have. You know, you could be on 52nd Street by Time Magazine, Rockefeller Center, same thing. Busy place, and you can be yes. This is just conversation because we can do this. I know we can do this. We can do this because I know mentors and professionals that I've worked with over the 30 years, 9 states, lawyers, doctors, all types of professionals, marketing professionals that care. But we have to have this, and this has to be a national crisis. If you're listening, President Biden, if you're listening, Vice President Kamala Harris, this has to be a national agenda. These corporations need to be in the room and say they are going to do this. Just like we're going to end homelessness, we're going to end the gang violence, the violence in the streets. And I think this is easier than ending homelessness, because a lot of these kids are homeless. A lot of them. So let's do something. Let's have another conversation. And I invite anybody to come on board with me and have this conversation, because we're just having a conversation. You know, I got Sojourner Truth behind me. In my office, I got Malcolm X. You know, got Martin Luther King on the wall. You know, the Southern Black Bible Belt, the map of how blacks migrated to the South. We can do better. I know we can. And we need these corporations, these Fortune 500 Fortune 100 companies to step up because it's in your best interest to work with me, to work with others, to work to do this. This is not ownership. This is a supportive, democratic way of changing the landscape of the violence with our young people. And I think we can do better. Actually, I know we can do better. So if you're listening, Brad Smith, President Chief of Microsoft, I think I wrote you a 7-page letter, something. I think it was 7 pages. That's just one thing. But it's so many. Everybody that I know that are mentors, that are working with kids, they have ideas that work. We just need a strong corporation, a few strong corporations to get on board. Mayor Bowser in Washington, D.C., I know she's trying to fight the violence in the District of Columbia. And they have strict gun laws. You can't own a gun in the District of Columbia. But yet, you got a lot of fatalities. I know that young man in Baltimore wants to change the way Baltimore is looked at. The violence, the young violence. I know he wants to make some changes. I know he does. He's a young man that has seen the violence firsthand growing up in Baltimore. Mayor Bowser, she's no stranger to it as well. And I know Mayor Bottoms is trying to do her best. But they need fresh ideas, fresh minds. They need fresh ideas and fresh minds. Because these kids will not stop killing and robbing if we don't do something. We have to do something drastically, and we have to change it. We have to hit it head on and allow these kids some hope. Just allow them some hope to show them that they mean something to society. Again, this is just conversation. I'm gonna sign off right now, but I enjoyed this conversation with you all. And I hope that somebody's listening, because the violence is not going to stop unless we open our doors. Take care.